People are discussing Yuri of the Team Flare girls. I think it's time to get off Twitter.
I think it's time to get off Twitter, Chloe. What the heck, Patty? You think you can just come in here and call us completely accurate nouns?
Let me, I need to pull up the stream, actually.
And of course, chat's not showing properly, because why would chat show properly?
God.
Thank you. Actually, let me head over to this one so that I can show it off a bit more. Nope, that's not the one that shows it off more. Let me go to this page.
Oh, we're actually live.
Yes, always have been.
Oh, hello.
Hi. Okay, let me see if it actually loads out. No, that's just going to hide my face. Yeah, no. I have a new model. My head now looks like Jellymon. Like, it has, like, fucked up gravity and everything. It's great. And then, if I do this, do I actually get bigger? No, I just grow off the camera. But yeah, slight color changes, and I just realized that I also fucked this up. Let me fix this thing. This is old ass shit that I am messing with.
What's with the, Oh, I can't remember the name. It was like a recolor of the Gamamon baby.
Yes. So I just realized that I haven't actually added Werba to the thing. And so...
Thank you, it's Yurimon.
Yeah. And so I was trying to be like, okay, where do I have that? And I can't find... Hold on, I need to just add... Image... Verba... Okay... Okay, there we go.
Alright, Verva is visible.
Yep. Yeah, alright. So, I'm glad that you're here, Patty, because today we are discussing your least favorite topic ever of all time. Why Shakomon and Vikemon are completely correct and objectively viable evolutions for Ankylomon.
You were gonna upset some people with saying that.
I know! That's why I'm here.
Although, if I can be honest, my preferred mega for Shakomon is still Flash Angemon.
That's fair. We're actually going to talk about why that is an equally valid and valuable mega. So, to start out with, hey, Draggy, guess what we're talking about today? Guess what we're talking about? It's you and Patty's favorite thing. Oh, sweet, your laptop's working. Awesome, that's great.
Let's go.
We're talking about this. These boys.
Would just like to say I'm currently listening to Beathead.
Nice.
Feels appropriate.
Yeah, it's Shakomon Day.
We will be celebrating everyone's favorite perfect level.
Yes. No.
A render Larry kicking his ass, God. Actually, Shakomon would use they/them pronouns, not because they're non-binary, but because they are literally two Digimon.
Alright, so. Now, I know this is a controversial take, but as demonstrated here on the official website, it is a totally viable and 100% accurate process. Yes, I was specifically trying to look more like Rika. In the process, I accidentally made myself a Jellymon Gajinka.
It happens.
Look at my hair, it's so Look at it! I disobey the laws of gravity.
Awesome.
Yeah. So. Shoot, I messed up my. Hold on. Okay, there we go. Okay, so. We're just going to very quickly review. So don't worry.
Fair.
We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into all of these. So, to start out with, we're gonna just go over the process of fusion overall. So, fusion is when two Digimon fuse together to give birth to a brand new Digimon. This can mean two Mega fusing into a single Mega, or two of different level fusing with another. When certain Digimon fuse together in a way that raises the level, that's Jogress, or DNA Digivolution. The potential for Jogress hides within all Digimon, but the below Digivolution routes only exist for these specific combinations. A pair of Digimon may produce a different fusion depending on which of them acts as the base of the fusion. So, here it goes through the O2 pairings, as well as Mastamon. See? Mastamon is a Jogress, and since it's a Jogress, it cannot be a Super Ultimate! I don't care if its DP count is that of Super Ultimates on the Pendulum 20th Hubilos. It's not an SU! You weren't here for it, but earlier today in the Discord, we were talking about possible Jogress final SUs for each Pendulum, and someone suggested Mastamon, and I was like, no! And then going through this again, it just dug up the trauma of me arguing with Hubilos in a very civilized and respectful manner over whether or not Mastamon can be considered a Super Ultimate.
mean, it's very clearly not. I'm sorry, Cumulus.
Thank you for understanding. Alright, so here's what's interesting. What I specifically want to talk about is this part here. The potential for DNA digivolution hides within all Digimon, but these digivolution routes only exist for these specific Digimon combinations. That actually tells us a lot about the process of Jogress that we really didn't go over in previous iterations. For those of you who are unfamiliar, the original version of Jogress debuted on the Pendulum emojis when they first came out. And I'm sorry, I do not in any way understand the connection between Mastamon
and Time Force Pink.
Is that a freaking Super Mega Force reference?
I guess? Oh, it is a Super Mega Force reference.
Okay, don't get me started
Super Mega
on
Digimon? That's a Super Mega win.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, don't get me started on Super Mega Force because I'm still pissed that they had the perfect opportunity to make use of the fact that the Dragon Zord is still asleep in Angel Grove Bay, and they didn't.
Anyway, Digimon.
Anyway, back to Digimon. So, the actual process behind Jogress originally consisted of two Digimon on separate docks, linking together, and sharing their data, which would trigger an evolution on one or both of them so long as the match was compatible. What determined whether or not a match was compatible was its attribute. So, this is the Nature Spirits one, but I'm going to pull up the original Pendulum Evolution Guide. So, for example, right here, Tortamon Jogressed with a Vaccine Adult Slot 1, any Data Adult, or a Vaccine Perfect Slot 2 will result in Yegamon, but with any Virus Adult will result in Piccolomon. It doesn't matter whether that Virus Adult is Octmon, or Devimon, or Woodmon, you're still getting Piximon. With that being the case, it actually tells us a lot about what Jogress as a process entails. Jogress does not actually give you anything you can't get naturally. Or rather, the best way to put it is to actually revisit the Digimon Accelerator. On the Digimon Accelerator, that's the wrong one. That's also the wrong one. I was looking into armor earlier because you guys were talking about armor. That's also why I was looking at Kunemon. We were talking about the legendary Kunemon outbreak.
Oh, yes. We're all aware of it.
Yes. So, as a part of the Accelerator, each Digimon had a particular set of DNA types. And so, for example, in order for Pinamon to evolve into Falcomon, it needed 0 to 5 insect plant DNA, 0 to 5 holy DNA, and 20 bird DNA. You'll notice that for all of these, except for Gatsumon, it specifies different amounts of these same 3 types. That's because on the accelerator, each Digimon had 3 DNA types, and what you evolved into was dependent entirely on the combination and amounts of each of those types. If we use that as a visualization process, Tortamon will naturally become... I can send you pics after stream, yes. But Tortamon will only naturally be able to become Atler-Kabuterimon, or Atler-Kabluterimon, as I like to call it, through no care mistakes and fulfill battles. However, if it is in any way strengthened with a particular amount of data or virus data, it will instead become Yagamon or Piccolomon, respectively. What that implies is that Tortamon always had the potential to become all 3 of these. It's just dependent on whether or not it receives the right data. And so going back to our friend Ankylomon, I would suggest that Ankylomon is a Digimon which has the DNA types of Earth, or has data types of Earth, Water, and Holy, and that Shakomon is the result when an Angemon strengthens that Holy data so far that it becomes the dominant data type. And the other aspect I want to talk about in that regard is if we go to the Penzi. Hold on, Draggy. We'll get to you soon. If we go to the Pendulum Z, Armadimon shows up on the Deep Saber's Pendulum. As part of this, it can access its armor evolution of Submarimon. But it can also still become Ankylomon, which is going to be weird about loading its picture, and there we go. Ankylomon, within this set of capture data, is predisposed to become Marine Chimeramon on its own, or as a low compatibility Jogress with Angemon. Shakomon with a high compatibility Jogress with Angemon. And if it receives vaccine or free type, Usoku, data type, Mermaid, and virus, Piranha. Now, exactly. Because, see, here's what we're... not necessarily. Here's the thing. What we're looking at here is not the natural disposition of Ankylomon in a vacuum. What we are looking at here is the natural possible evolutions of an Ankylomon from the most recent Deep Savers capture data. Basically, rather than having a fixated correct line in the form of Shakomon to Vikemon, or Shakomon to /Angemon, the actual process behind the development of the Ankylomon species is entirely dependent on the capture data in which it is located. Do I even still have that working? Let me check. I hope this isn't broken. Oh yeah, it worked.
Oh. Awesome.
Yeah! Larry's got it. Larry gets it. So yeah. Basically, and this is likely the case, this is the case for every Digimon, but it's true of Ankylomon and Kilomon especially. These Digimon are incredibly adaptive to their environments because of their spaghetti code. They're going to vary wildly between iterations. As such, listen.
Not everything ties into Fenglongmon. I hate to say it.
Listen, Draggy, I know you're very happy with... Hello!
Hey, welcome to the stream.
Alright, listen, Draggy, I know you're very happy with the idea of Armadimon becoming Fenglongmon eventually. And I hate to be the one to tell you this, but it's not an evolution that it has access to. It's not here. It's
Okay,
not
but
one of
to
the
be
chosen
fair,
ones.
To be fair, though, any Digimon can become any Digimon under the right circumstances.
This is true. This is a known fact. So, with that being the case, it is now time for a segue. So, on the subject of evolutions that we naturally have the potential to access but require specific stimuli in order to activate, we come to the Digimental of Fate. So, what's particularly interesting about the Digimental of Fate, we're going to start here, is that we've only ever seen it in proper use by Terriermon in order to become Rapidmon Armor. Rapidmon Armor is, in technicality, the golden armor evolution version of Rapidmon Perfect. Now, what's interesting about this is, as Patty has pointed out before, in comparison with the other known specifically Fate or Destiny armor, Gold Vidramon, both of these are actually instances of variable power output Digimon that are technically recolors of Digimon, which theoretically are within the natural evolution span of the Digimon that armor digivolved into them. So, like, as I mentioned, Rapidmon Armor is a golden armor variant of Rapidmon, and Gold Vidramon is a golden armor variant of Vidramon, which is a related species to Vmon. But what's interesting Not necessarily. But we are going to loop around to that now that you've brought it up, because that is a very good way of ending this. What I want to talk about first here is how the other 3 instances of Fate armors, Maildramon, Kongomon, and Rhinomon, are actually the miracle armors of Tailmon, Patamon, and Wormmon, respectively. Now, what's interesting about this is that while they are specifically reused miracle armors, there is something particularly interesting about it. First off, these miracle armors are, with the exception of standard Tailmon weirdness, as Tailmon is Tailmon, these 3 all actually come from the same Digimon using using 2 different Digimentals. Patamon will become Rhinomon with Miracles or Fate. Wormmon will become Kongomon with Miracles or Fate. Tailmon will become Maildramon with Miracles. Plotmon will become Maildramon with Fate. And so, what's interesting about these, what's really particularly interesting about these, is what do these 3 Digimon's base forms have in common? Well, Plotmon/Tailmon and Patamon are explicitly associated with Holy Digimon. No, I just had something in my throat, and so when I swallowed it made a hissing sound like this. I also hung out with some snakes at work today.
Sounds fun.
It was.
God. We don't have enough snake Digimon, but anyway.
We do not have enough snake Digimon. So, hey, it's Evo time.
Evolution Tsukimi ga Teima.
So, these 2 we do have Habumon and several snake evolutions for a certain digital hazard. But what's interesting about these is these 2 are connected by being holy species stuff. Holy species, like they're holy type Digimon. They're armor variants of Digimon that basically go on to become the 3 great angels even. Whilst Wormmon does not inherently have a tie to the more... what's the word I'm looking for?
Holy.
Yeah. Wormmon does not inherently have a tie towards holy stuff. But what it does have is, first off, that it kind of fulfills the role for the Vmon, and it fulfills the role for Paildramon that Angemon and Tailmon do for Shakomon and Sylphimon. So it serves as the secondary, and Dino Beamon is technically classified in a similar manner to the Jogress variants of Magna Angemon and Anguomon. But also what's interesting is that Kongomon itself is believed to have, and I quote, by clicking on the page, it is said that Kongomon has been an agent of God on Earth since ancient times, separate from Angel Digimon. So there are inherent parallels between these 3. And so what I bring up here is the suggestion that in the same way that this brings out variants, these are actually undisclosed variants of their respective forms. These are fate-based forms. And the reason I suggest this is because of something particularly interesting. Patty pointed out that when this was being discussed in the Discord, I don't remember the specifics of who exactly said this, but the Digimental of Fate brings about something you could have already become in the future. And
interesting.
And so in comparison with Miracles brings about something entirely new as the situation needs. You know what that sounds like to me? Especially in the context of how this egg got dropped? Or rather, should I say, that it descended? I am suggesting that perhaps, per happenstance, what we've got going on here is that miracle evolutions create that both miracle and fate are not the standard tags that are established by the other Digimentals, and that these were actually Digimentals crafted by the system in order to better facilitate scenarios such as the descent of Omegamon.
Interesting. That's actually really, really interesting. So are you saying that the Digimental of Fate might actually be the key for a true Royal Knight?
Not necessarily. Magnamon is a Royal Knight that's... So, we've talked about this before. The descent of the Royal Knight Omegamon likely requires a setup scenario of there being present within the area a combination of Wargreymon and Metal Garurumon.
Mm-hmm. In some form.
And that the descent of Omegamon is actually the bestowing of a high degree of power and authority onto those two through a fusion process that results in the actual being Omegamon. That was the wrong tab. In the same way, it can be argued that Alphamon, this is different from something like Alphamon or Yuken, where a Royal Knight has already descended, and that Royal Knight is then the Royal Knight that has already descended reconstructs a Daydream evolution into a weapon. So, these two are existing powers already at play, combining. These two is power being granted from on high to form something greater than the sum of its parts.
Okay.
In the same manner, I would argue that Magnamon, very similarly to Omegamon, is an entity whose reemergence after, like, if for example, the current Magnamon were to get taken out, then in order for Magnamon to reemerge as a Royal Knight, a Vmon has to have power granted to it by the system in the form of the Digimental of Miracles. And lo and behold, that is exactly how every single time we've seen Magnamon evolve happen in an anime has gone down.
Yeah?
Because the 2 times we've seen Magnamon evolutions in the anime, the first time was Hurricane Touchdown, that we got the scene of the 2 golden Digimentals coming down. And the second time was in the battle against Chimeramon, when the Digimon Sovereign reconstructed the Digimental of Kindness into the Digimental of Miracles. Exactly.
Yeah, I was gonna say, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
The scene in Hurricane Touchdown has always felt like a bit of an ass pull. And I mean, to be fair, I feel like when they made the movie, it kind of was.
Oh, yeah,
like, they
100%.
were probably not thinking of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's how Digimon works. Toei makes an ass pull, and then we go to try and disprove that ass pull, and everything lines up fucking perfectly, because Ryu Senji is never wrong.
Digimon are alive.
Digimon are alive. Thank you, Version Saturn. God, don't even get me started. But here's what I'm gonna suggest here. I'm not suggesting that oh wait. What do you got, Draggy?
Oh. Draggy's cooking. But Elephantmon still looks so out of place.
Oh, like Peacockmon doesn't?
Oh, Sonic Frontier is about cyberspaces. God damn it. Colonel damn it. Here's why Sonic the Hedgehog should be summoned into a Digimon setting next. You know how they did those like crossover game, or not? They weren't crossovers. They were like Sonic and Ancient Legends.
Mm-hmm.
What if Sonic goes to the Kimonogami world?
Holy shit. Alright, but... Okay. So... here we have... all of the Miracle evolutions. The only real difference is that Peacockmon and Elephantmon are here in place of Rapidmon, and Magnamon has taken over for Gold Vidramon.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what is interesting about this is that what we have, we don't really have anything to elaborate on whether Peacockmon or Elephantmon could be variants for their... we don't have anything that could suggest them to be variants in comparison to the Fate armors.
Mm-hmm.
Except for one key thing. I lied.
What did you lie about?
This is a Delumon.
Wait. Let me see that profile again? What the fuck?
An armor-level machine Digimon that evolved through the power of the Digimental of Miracles. When certain bird Digimon perform normal evolution, they have the potential to become Delumon, but there are rare cases when they evolve into Peacockmon using the Digimental of Miracles. Its body is made of blue metallic chrome Digizoid, and it is able to fly at extremely high speeds by producing laser-shaped wings from portions of both its arms. Its special move is a unique beam radiated from its laser wings, Rainbow Shower. If you suffer this attack, your whole body will be burned to cinders.
Peacockmon is an armor version of Delumon.
In the same way that Sagittariumon is an armor version of Centalmon.
That's crazy. That's actually insane.
And thus, I suggest unto you that Eliphamon is also a variant Digimon.
Of who? Mammon? Oh.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your Ankylomon evolution.
My brain hurts.
Welcome to Monspiracy.
I know that's the point of the show. That's crazy. That's actually crazy.
And now, obviously, any Digimon can become any Digimon. But to put my 2 cents into, to throw my hat into the ring to that discussion that was happening in the Discord, I would suggest that Mammon is a evolution Ankylomon is predisposed towards when its data composition leans more heavily towards land mammals, Digimon.
Yeah, that would make sense for Beast DNA.
It's for Beast DNA / Nature Spirits vibe. Though, one thing I did notice while we were looking at this. What fudge, Bandai? Why are you saying it's an armored dragon?
What is it considered? I mean, I could see an Ankrodramon and why did I call it Ankrodramon? I could see Volkdramon come from Ankylomon, but
oh, so for some reason it's just translating Ankylosaur as armored dragon. Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense, Larry.
Like, the X era did a number on the Digicores. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I see Monochromon X, actually. Does it have like a giant sword? Yes, it does. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is the most over-the-top X antibody I've ever seen.
Effects of the X antibody on Monochromon's Digicore. Its epidermis shines black, having become an even sturdier shell that boosts its ability to survive all the more. The long claws growing out of its Hold on. The long claws growing out of Monochrome Onyx Antibody's limbs drive into the earth, stabilizing it so it can support its gigantic horn and swing it down. Its special moves have increased, and it can now use its new Tomahawk Slash to mow through foes with the enhanced power of its giant hatchet-shaped horn.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's Evo time! Technically, I should have been doing Braveheart for that.
Yeah. Guess what's playing right now? On my end. Braveheart.
Nice.
Yeah. God, though. So you're telling me that Fate, just so we can recap one more time, Fate Armor Digimon are crystallizations of the potential of Digimon.
Or they could be compared to the process of Blast Evolution, in that Blast Evolution in the anime is when a Digimon temporarily achieves a future form. Or, like, Blast Evolution outside of the Accelerator is when a Digimon temporarily achieves a higher form in combat.
So it's akin to a type of that, except it's
akin to a type of that. Basically, the entire idea behind Digimental is I have a Vmon, and my Vmon is at risk of basically getting itself killed if it tries to evolve. So, I make a Digimental of Courage using data from dead Greymon, Tyrannomon, etc., and give it to Vmon, and now Vmon can evolve into Flagramon. That's not necessarily as strong as A. That means that it's in a weird in-between state where it's almost an adult, but it's not really sure, and its power varies wildly.
Which also explains why it's so inconsistent when it's categorized in games and stuff.
And then
those things are perfects in the DS games, for the record.
Yeah. And so, what the Digimental of Fate does is, rather than utilize an elemental aspect in the same way the others do, it instead takes the current potential evolutions a Digimon could reach, selects one of them, and creates a golden variant of it. Or creates a variant of it. Because of the limited options for gold/holy associated Digimon that Tailmon, Patamon, or Plotmon/Tailmon, Patamon, and Wormmon could become, they became their miracle evolutions, which were always possibilities for them because of their deep ingrainment into the system.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Veedramon is actually more heavily tied into the system than its Vmon counterparts, because Veedramon is the adult form of the Veedramon species, which refines into Arrow and then Ulforce. And basically, if let's say I have a variant of the version 1 capture data where my Betamon can become, like, it can armor evolve, right? If I were to use a Digimental of Courage, that would probably end up becoming a... Hold on, I just realized I completely fucked up my tracking. There we go. Okay, so if I were to create, if I were to use a Digimental of Courage, my Betamon would become something like Salamandermon, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if I were to use the Digimental of Fate, what it would likely do is choose Metal Greymon, Mamemon, or Monzaimon, and create a golden variant of one of those Digimon to serve as the perfect level that Betamon was most likely to achieve based off its current data status.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess the only thing would be, what is Kongomon a variant of?
Kongomon is a variant in the same way. So, here's the thing. We don't really have an understanding of what perfect level Kongomon would counterpoint to, other than itself, which is similar to Maildramon and Rhinomon, because they are essentially, what happens there is, because they already had the potential to achieve these forms as servants of God, as holy Digimon, that they became, once again, these holy Digimon. Like, hold on.
Okay. So you're saying that it's a case like Magnamon, where it's like the will of the system.
What I'm suggesting is that if we check Rhinomon, okay. Basically, what I'm suggesting is that due to their association with wholly adjacent Digimon in Patamon and Tailmon, what these two are inherently system-based. As such, these Digimon already have a fixed potential by the system due to being wholly associated Digimon associated with carrying out the will of said system. They are predisposed to become these when bestowed power via an item. As such, Fate, being an item meant to accelerate as opposed to introduce new elements, Fate turns a Tailmon into a Maildramon because Maildramon is a miracle armor, yes, in that it introduces something new, but it doesn't actually introduce new aspects to Tailmon's data, it just unlocks that path.
I see what you're saying.
In the same sort of way that, like, Nefertimon is an unlocking of a more Gatomon-esque evolution for Tailmon, and Pegasmon is a less humanoid unlock for Patamon.
Both are pretty similar now that I think about it. But
Kongomon, in a similar fashion, is Wormmon given miracles, but as a system-based Digimon, Wormmon had that power, it was just a sealed-off path. Fate accelerates that as a Wormmon that does not have a Wormmon introduced to holy power that does not have an alternative branch will go towards this path, in the same way that a Wormmon granted the Digimental of Kindness will become Puchimon, which is a kind of weird, it's not so armor-like that you can kind of see Wormmon in it, until you look at the green variant and notice that the weird antenna things are like totally Wormmon's antenna.
So what you're saying is, I need to commission art of a Fate Armor Digivolution for my Luxmon that would be Garudamon Gold.
Ooh, that could be cool.
Ooh, alternatively, I could do Yatagarumon Gold. Sorry, I'm getting distracted.
No, go for it. That reminds me though, have you seen that, let me send it to myself. Have you seen the video Karn did that, like, he commissioned someone to make an alternative, Ooh, Patty, that's a good point. Patty
Repmon Gold does have Holy Wings, or Holy Rings. I was looking at Holy Wing earlier. That is a different thing.
Yeah. Though, on the subject of Larry wanting Puchibon to be burned at the stake, this is a variant. This is an alternative that someone made for a Wormmon Kindness armor.
Ooh, that's sick.
I really like this one.
I really like Puchibon, though. I'm sorry.
I don't dislike Puchibon, but I really, really like this. I feel like this is something closer to how I would have... Like, I don't hate Puchibon as a design, but I feel like it fails to basically be Wormmon's armor, though, if that makes sense.
That's understandable.
Like, to compare it to the other two Jagras Fuel Digimon, Pegasmon feels like an evolution of Patamon that's wearing armor.
Yeah.
That's fair. Nefertimon feels like an evolution of Tailmon. Puchimon doesn't really feel like an evolution of Wormmon.
Weirdly enough, I can see it, but it's mostly because they have the antenna things in common.
It's mostly the antenna, and it doesn't... Or rather... Nefertimon feels like an evolution of Tailmon wearing armor. There's no armor aspect to Puchimon. Puchimon, you could tell me, is just another Pixie Digimon like Piccolomon, and I would not in any way be confused by that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair. Now that I think about it, they used Wormmon armors in 2 different episodes of Ghost Game.
Yeah, but like
not really related to anything.
Yeah, but like it's weird that the armor form for Wormmon that feels the most Wormmon-esque is the one that canonically is the Digimental that it's canonically the least compatible with.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, this should have been the Digimental it's most compatible with, and you don't even see kindness left in it.
Fair. Puchimon does like an Ampon armor.
Yeah. The one thing that Puchimon does have going for it as being the definitive Wormmon armor, though, is that it does technically kind of allow the, what's the word I'm looking for? It does technically make sense in the context of how none of the kindness armors really feel like armors.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I feel like this achieves the goal much more successfully.
Fair. I like this design. Don't get me wrong. I just do enjoy Poochymon. As I've gotten more into weird Digimon, I have embraced them. I remember thinking Mamemon was the weirdest thing I'd ever seen in my life when I when I initially got my DMOG and I was looking at the evolution pass.
Yeah.
Or not my DMOG, my DM 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright. Well, we have been going... I like that idea. I like the idea of kindness armors being plushies. Yeah, kinda. Although now that you've said fairground mascots, I can't help but point this out. Five Nights at Kindness Armors.
Uh-huh. Five Nights at Poochie's.
Five Nights at Poochie's. Alright. We have reached the 1 hour mark and have covered way more ground than we usually do in an hour. I say we have reached a good place to call it for the evening.
That's fair.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for coming to Sumi's second Monspiracy. I know, that's crazy. How has it been this long and we've only done 2? The answer is my computer is a bitch.
And the universe was conspiring against us.
It was. It didn't want you to know that that you can have your Shakomon and burn it too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Alright. With that said, we shall call it here. Thank you everyone for coming, and we shall see you next time. Bye!
Bye!